A very warm welcome to all of you who join us on Zoom and YouTube Live for this session on emotional intelligence for leaders as part of our masterclass series for JGBS's Impact Ready one-year MBA program in business analytics by Professor of Eminence Dr. Sanjeev Sani, who's the Principal Director of the Jindal Institute of Behavioral Sciences and advisor to the Vice Chancellor of Jindal Global University. My name is Mayank Dhondial, and I'm a professor and dean at Jindal Global Business School, OP Jindal Global University. We are certainly privileged to have Dr. Sani amongst us for this masterclass on emotional intelligence and leadership. Dr. Sanjeev Sani is a distinguished scholar in the field of psychology, and his research interests span in the areas of criminal psychology, cognitive and neuropsychology, competency mapping, organization development, and leadership. He holds a PhD degree in organization behavior and possesses an extensive and rich experience of 32 years in academia, industry, and government sector. Dr. Sani has worked as a research scientist at several universities like University of Houston, Texas, University of Illinois, Chicago, to name a few. He has served for 14 years as a scientist in the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, and Sports Authority of India, where he spearheaded biofeedback training and other psychodynamic assessments to nurture and enhance the performance of sportspersons in the country. Dr. Sani is also the recipient of some very prestigious fellowships, such as the ones by Indian Association of Sports Medicine, Sports Psychology Association of India, and Indian Council of Medical Research. Dr. Sani was also conferred the Director Generalship of International Forum on Crimes and Criminal Law in the Global Era in Beijing, China in 2015, and awarded the Medal of Honor by the Serbian Academy of Sciences and Arts, the most prominent academic institution in Serbia. He has also served as secretary to the Indian Association of Sports Medicine and Sports Psychology Association of India. Now, coming on to today's topic on emotional intelligence and leadership. Now, traditionally, leadership has focused on driving organization growth and transformation by tapping the rational, or more specifically, the technical caliber of individuals to realize the vision of the organization. However, over the past decade, research has demonstrated that a critical aspect of building and being part of a stellar organization, an organization that is successful, is to meaningfully connect with the people around you through appreciation of and sensitivity of their emotional lives. Now, many recent studies have indicated to the importance of emotional intelligence over intelligence quotient. We're, of course, privileged to have Dr. Sani, who's an expert in the area, to talk more about it. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Sanjeev Sani to deliver his session on emotional intelligence and leadership. Dr. Sani, over to you, please.
Very good evening to all of you, and a special compliments to our Dean Mayank Dhondial. I'm glad that, we have started recognizing emotional intelligence more than the intelligence. But I'm not going to talk to you unless you are going to switch on your videos. This is the JIBS is organizing probably 698th webinar today. And every time we do that, I request everyone to switch on their videos, because I don't want to talk to the screen. And I guarantee you, whatever I'm going to talk to you out of my experience may help you. May I request all of you to switch on your videos? Hello, hello, hello.
Right, students. So if you can, switch on your cameras and keep your microphones on.
That's the difference between the dean and myself. I said it is mandatory. He says if you can. In my class, everybody supposed to, from last 2 years, not even a single person. So from the business school, I must have taught. I can request all of you again that if you can switch on, I'll be grateful. Otherwise, I don't think it will be that meaningful talk.
Keshav, just make sure that students are able to switch on their cameras, please.
They can, sir.
Let's make it interesting session. That will be possible that if we will be able to switch on and we participate, we deliberate, we discuss. Thank you very much. At least one person is there. No, you guys are not anyway, because I was asked to speak, so I can't do much. Okay, I have to probably.
I think they will, sir. I mean, if you.
No issues. Anyway, you know, I'm glad that even the business schools have started recognizing the importance of emotional intelligence. A very important saying from the last 30 years, you may get a job because of intelligence, but your success and failure is totally dependent on your emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence, I don't want to read out any kind of a definition, but I want to tell you a simple thing. It's a behavior of an individual. Probably till 20 years back, people were talking about functional competencies. How good skill-oriented I am, how knowledgeable I am, what is my qualification, what is my experience is equivalent to the success. People realized in last 20, 30 years, it's not the functional competencies, especially at the higher level. It is the behavioral competencies. We know that the 4 types competencies: generic competency, managerial competency. If you are into any kind of an organization, you have these 2. Now, functional is your skill and knowledge. But people realize the most important is behavioral, where the attitude, your mentality, your behavior is much more important, which would be productive in any organization than anything. When we talk about a behavior, what is behavior? I mean, we use this word. I want to start it from the scratch. What is behavior? Behavior is, like all of you are there, in spite of my several requests, you did not switch on your videos. It's your behavior. We don't care. You say whatever you want. So that's how you are taking it. One gentleman, Amanjit Singh, thought, no, let me switch on. That's his behavior. Now, Dean, whether he likes me or likes my talk or not, he has invited me, he has to be there. That's his behavior. So behavior is basically a reaction to the situations, how people take it. Just a small example, few people are afraid of getting a lizard at home, or a rat, or a snake, or from the stray dogs. Few people are afraid, few people will start loving or catching them. What is the difference? Behavior. So behavior, I want to tell you the whole world, what kind of research they are doing it right now. The neuroscientists and the cognitive scientists, they are fully involved to understand the thought process, which is a journey between a stimulus and response. Thank you, Bhumika, for a while. Okay, I want to take to all of you to my whiteboard. I'm a conventional person, and I'm going to write down, and you kindly, you will be able to see it on your screen. I want to tell you, as I said, behavior is nothing but a stimulus to response. Now, I am thirsty, here is the water. I am hungry, here is the food. I want a car, here it is. I want a good job, here it is. Now, but don't forget that there is a barrier. And, you know, I need to learn how to cross this barrier. It may take a fraction of a second. I'm thirsty right now. I can have a glass of water. I have achieved the response. But I want to buy a helicopter of my own. Probably the lifelong I will not be able to buy because I don't have finances. So in that case, my stimulus will continue till my death to achieve that response, which I may not get it. So few things in life, fraction of a second, few things, minutes and hours and days, weeks, years together. So this journey, we need to understand it well. This journey is when you are moving from stimulus to response. There are various thought processes you will go through. And these thought processes has basically an impact of intelligence, emotional intelligence, political intelligence, leadership intelligence, so many intelligences. In fact, I want to start with this, that intelligence is an obsolete thing. Intelligence word does not exist. In 1980s, we said that because there are 300 types of intelligence, it could be verbal intelligence, performance intelligence. Bless me. It's not going to reach it to you, so don't worry. It's on. So it could be interpersonal intelligence, it could be linguistic intelligence. So we have to specify what intelligence we are talking about. But the intelligence word has been replaced by the word competence. So competence comes through emotional intelligence. When we are talking about thought processes, every individual will go through 3 different aspects which happens in my brain. So one could be a reaction time. How quick I am to respond. You know, a 100-meter sprinter standing on a starting race, waiting for the gunshot. They may react probably in 100 millisecond and may take 200 millisecond. Both are normal. But right from the beginning, and these are the non-trainable things. These are innate and inborn. So reaction time, how quick I am. If I ask Amanjeet Singh, what did you have day before in the breakfast? It's, yes, sir, this. So, but few people would be very quick. And these are innate qualities processed through the brain. The second is anticipation time. How well you can anticipate things. Every moment, every second, we anticipate what to do, how to do, walk, eat, anything you talk about. So the last and the most important one is decision-making time. This may happen in fraction of a second. It may take years. But I just want to remind you that Mr. Narayana Murthy was delivering a convocation address at IIM Bangalore, and students asked him, what is the one competency you have which, make you a competent leader and a technology tycoon? He said, one word, I take decisions. Now, as a student of psychology, I'm not there whether you are taking a right decision or wrong decision, but taking a decision is a big competency and it has to be processed through the brain. In fact, there is another saying which says, the delayed decision will cost you much more than taking a wrong decision. So this thought process which I talked about, when did it develop? How you develop it? Reaction time, I said innate, but anticipation and decision-making time is a capability and a competency which you can learn over the period. But I want to tell you, whatever Mike Dondial is today, whatever his behavior is today, is the reflection of 0 to 7 years of age. All of us, whatever we are today, is a reflection of 0 to 7 years of age. I also want to tell you that if you will ever do some sort of a research, it would say that 0 to 5 years. But India being a very possessive country, so we, the psychologists, we decided that we did a lot of research on this. We thought till 7 years. Now, who are the people who develop a right kind of emotional intelligence in you? Number one, your parents. They have roughly 50 to 60% contribution on developing your emotional intelligence. Number two, till the age 7, whosoever your teachers, that means primary school teachers, 20 to 30%. And number 3, peers. Again, 20 to 30%. It varies. It's a broken home, single parent. There could be many things. So it can go a little bit, but ultimately it is your parents who develops your emotional intelligence. So you need to take it. And don't think that this particular intelligence can be developed later. I also want to tell you 80 to 85% of emotional intelligence develops at the age of, till the age of 7. Till age 7. You have hardly a scope of 15 to 20%. Now, what is this emotional intelligence? How well I can understand my own emotions and how well I can understand your emotions. When to speak, when to react, when I say stimulus to response, when to do that. Just the last thing, and then I'm going to start with your emotional intelligence talk, but I want to take you back that why you people behave differently, how you have a different emotions. So it comes from parents or from early childhood. The second thing, you have heard about iceberg. Iceberg says that only 10% is visible, 90% is invisible in a human being also. What is visible in a human being? As I said earlier, their knowledge, their skill, their qualification, their experience, their appearance. This is visible in any human being. I'm wearing a tie today. This is an appearance. You think, oh, he must be, I have a gray hair. You think, oh, wow, maybe this guy knows a little bit. So it's only 10%. But what is invisible is my judgments, my beliefs, my morals, my values, my opinions. People say Bengalis are like this, Tamilians are like this, Punjabis are like this, Northeast are like this. Forget about that. People talk relating a behavior with the religion. Forget about that. People even relate the caste or the surname with that. These are my judgments. And when did I learn this? Again, 0 to 7 years. Up to 80 to 85% I have learned. And all this is called, all these things, 90% is known as attitude. Attitude. And attitude is nothing, is an emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, if it is a balanced emotions, it helps you to grow and develop. And 90% is that industries does not know about your attitude. When you start working, when the situation keeps coming, and how do you react to that? Then they realize. And the 20 minutes of interview, when we select people, I must have interviewed over 60,000 people in my lifetime. And I must have selected 5, 6, 7,000 people. I must have done many mistakes in it while selecting people, because in 20 minutes, you are only on to 10%. You are not, forget about that. I've been married for 31 years. My wife knows me only 10%. If Mike says that his employer or wife or brother or sister or children knows him more than 50, 60%, that means he doesn't know. Nobody, no, when I say 10% is an indicative figure, don't think it's exactly 10, it's like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what I'm trying to say is the tip of the iceberg. We know people only little bit around 10%. My wife doesn't know about my values or morals, to be very honest. Just to give you a very small personal example, when I was working with the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs, and I used to travel abroad quite a lot. And when I used to travel and I used to give a call to my wife, I'm very happy, it's a beautiful place, all those kind of things. And, and there is a pause from the another side. And then she says, we don't have a power at home, and your son is not giving me a lot of problem. We are in hell. I realized that I need to change myself. Now, after that, whenever I go, I said, I'm in trouble. I'm not enjoying. I'm missing food. I'm missing everything. She started loving that. When I come back, I get a warm welcome. Till today, after 31 years, she does not know my beliefs or my morals and my values. And that is today. I want to tell you guys, today it is possible to assess emotional intelligence. It is possible to assess attitude. It is possible to assess emotional intelligence. We have scales. One is a questionnaire system, which I don't like. That's my personal problem. But whole world is using it. I believe more in electronic on machines, how to read human behavior. And I can assess that on machines as well. But everybody does not have, so there is no point talking about machines. But yes, we have number of emotional intelligence scale. If anybody is interested, come to us. We will give you a scale, and we can let you know by which age you will be becoming a CEO, and we can give you in writing. Number two, if there are 5, 7, 10 parameters, then we will also tell you that which parameters you are lacking. So maybe you can get a training on that. So these days, it is important to get assessed yourself if there is anything wrong, where it is. Okay. Now, I just want to tell you, for a layman, the people who are high on emotional intelligence and a low on emotional intelligence, what is the difference like? The first is the people who are high on emotional intelligence is they have basically a growth mindset. And other have fixed. Are you open to new things? Do you think you are creative, innovative? Do you think you are artistic? Or you said, this is what my field, I don't want to listen to anything. Whether it is my job, religion, or anything you talk about, I have a fixed mindset or I have a growth mindset. Second is, do I embrace challenges or I avoid challenges? Many people say, oh, Dr. Sani, if you can conduct a training program on stress management, we'll be very happy. And, to a certain extent, if you don't have a stress in your life, you don't have a challenges. You will not be prepared for those challenges. So stress is always not that bad. So we know that eustress and other stresses, those are, I'm not going to talk about that. But yes, people needs to understand the difference between a stress, anxiety, and a tension and a depression. Most of us, we are not aware about the symptoms. Third thing, do I give up things easily or I persist on things? Our amazing, distinguished and accomplished dean, anything he wants for his school, he is highly persistent and will persuade you to a level where you say, sir, thank you very much. Please go ahead and do it. That is his quality. He's high on emotional intelligence because he will not let it go. And this is a true story. He may be smiling, but I feel bad at times. Is the negative feedbacks or a positive feedbacks, how do I react to that? Most of us, we react on the negative feedbacks. And maybe a few people would say, thank you very much. You are my true friend. So this is also people who are high or on low intelligence, how they behave. Many people, they learn from criticism and it works well. But many people are reactive to criticism and they start abusing to that level. And it happens in the corporate sector in a big way. I worked in the corporate sector for good 14 years at the $20 billion company, director of human resources and few other functions, and could understand that, how people react. And, the last thing which I want to let you know into the emotional intelligence is Am I aware about myself? It's a self-awareness. My own emotions, how I'm going to react. What is my temperament? The second is social awareness. Do I, accept the norms of the society? Or do I mingle with the society? Do I have a respect for the society? Do I appreciate the norms of the society? And the third thing is, can I manage myself? And the last thing is, can I manage do I have a good relationship management? That means I'm having a relationship. Now, there are many studies. I teach organization development and change management where I'm talking about relationship management. If I give you a few good examples, Ola, an Indian startup, the very first year, they made to 1800 crores of rupees, totally depending upon relationship management. They are not having their own cars, taxis, anything. The drivers does not report to them, but how they develop a relations with the customer, with the drivers, with the car, cars facilities. It's a relationship management, and year on year they are having 400 to 500 crores of rupees more. Similarly, Oyo, they are also, Oyos is again an Indian startup, and you see in all over the world they are there, and except the last 2 years during Corona, but otherwise you see their growth trajectory, how they are doing, depending upon the relationship management. Similarly, I can give you the organization. It's not that the person needs to be high on emotional intelligence. Even the organization also needs to be high, and they need to develop those kind of things. I can also tell you few good failures as well. Housing.com, the relationship management is terrible, and they could not do well as per 99.com or 99 properties, magic break, blah, blah, blah. So emotional intelligence of organizations is equally important. So I was told that I should, show you certain PPTs. So I have prepared those as well. But before I show you the PPTs, I want to talk about, no, I'm not going to show you this for sure. No, I need to show it to you few things. Are you able to see that? Mike, are you able to see
Yes, Dr. Sani, it's visible.
Okay. Hello. Emotional intelligence for leaders. In fact, I want to tell you one thing. Emotional intelligence is becoming little obsolete. We used to talk about emotional intelligence way back, and from last 20 years, as I said. Let me go a little back on this as well. When we go to schools, we require three things. One is social intelligence. Two, emotional intelligence. Three, artificial intelligence. We learn these three things in the school. Now, so what is social intelligence? Again, when I was talking about social awareness, that is more onto the social intelligence. Assume that, the campus is a smoke-free cigarette. You can't smoke cigarette. If you're still smoking a cigarette on campus, knowing very well it's injurious to health, knowing very well you are defying the university orders, that means you lack in social intelligence. Many researches are there. This is almost like 40 years back stories. But about the relationship management and social awareness, so, this is an important pillar of emotional intelligence. The third one is an artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is more onto the critical thinking, strategical thinking, and we learn through the criticism and those kind of things. So we learn that as well. Emotional intelligence I've already talked about. But we have now clubbed all these, which is three of it: social intelligence or social quotient, emotional quotient and artificial intelligence quotient. So we started talking about political quotient. It's not when I say political quotient, you need to think we are talking about the politics or politicians. No, the political quotient is how good political skills I have. How do I manipulate things? How do I manage things? How I can get away with the most challenged time. And now people started about leadership quotient. This is absolutely new, which says EQ, emotional quotient, plus political quotient is equivalent to leadership quotient. This is an absolutely new thing. Do you think leaders are born or made? Many people talk about it. And many say, no, they are made. Most of the people, they said made. I agree with them, but I must tell you, leaders are also 80% made between the age 0 to 7 years. And you cannot separate EQ and a PQ, which is a political quotient or a political intelligence, with the leadership quotient or leadership intelligence. So when I really liked the topic given to me, emotional intelligence for leaders, learn the art of impactful connection. Excellent topic. Itself talks about that this question or a topic is itself answering what emotional intelligence is. Now, many people, emotional intelligence, better equipped to respond to situation around us with a high degree of maturity. What is this maturity? Maturity is totally, could be misunderstood, could be biased, could be prejudiced, and how I react to the situation. The new intelligence, the definition of intelligence is not that how well I solve the problems. It says that how I adapt myself to the new environment. New definition, how well I can, which is through emotional intelligence. So many studies have shown that many people have shown that people who have a high emotional intelligence become better leaders, are exemplary in whatever they do. I've already said that, but I would like to read. The compared to intelligence quotient, which I talked about intelligence, emotional intelligence appears to be superior. In fact, it is IQ is 10% and emotional intelligence is 90%, which covers a wide range of faculties and aspects of people's behavior. And, studying emotional intelligence will also help us to understand the source and impact of your emotions, from where it is coming, where is the stimulus, how we can manage those kind of things is a very, very important thing. Emotional intelligence, I don't want to read, but yes, I want to tell you in fact, I want to tell you something better rather than showing these slides. Let me go back. If I can show it to you. 1 second. You cannot move a video while people are. Why I can't do it? Hello? I have goofed up something, I think. Where I am. Okay. Somehow I'm not getting it, but anyway. So I want to talk to you. The first thing is in emotional intelligence is realistic orientation. How realistic I am. So we always talk about idealistic self, realistic self. So it's good to be idealistic as well. But what is dominating you? Is the 60-70% is idealistic self, and if the 20-30% is realistic, you are bound to be a failure. But if you have the overlap of idealistic and realistic, you are bound to do well. The another thing is which we call it a self-assertion. I just talked about how you persuade, how you persist, how you move ahead. Those are making a lot of impact in your life for the successful growth. There is another thing, which is who's controlling my behavior? Who's controlling my emotions? Now, theoretically it says internally or externally. Internally means I believe in myself. Whatever I am today, I can achieve it. I can do it. Whatever I am today is because of my efforts. The external means chance, God, luck, and the Indian parents somehow are pushing their children towards external locus of control. It's a God. Before the class 10th and 12th examination, there is a sudden rush in the temples. People start going, and then with due respect to every religion, and then they say that God, if I will get 70% marks, I will come and pray here, or I'll go to different temples, or I will, do these kind of things. External. We think that it's the God who's going to help us. And when we go for an exam, our parents give us a sugar or yogurt so that we can perform well. And they say, good luck. And on that day, we say, go and touch the feet of your grandparents. Otherwise, they don't listen to grandparents. And on that day, they do it. It's an external. And when they come back, how was your exam? Oh, mom, I could not do it, 10 marks. And oh, you're being unlucky today. So the question is how we are pushing them for this kind of things. The another thing is, which is killing the entire Indian society in a big way, is a social desirability. I want to be renowned. I want to be appreciated. I want to project I'm the most superior person. I want to, I want to say that this is a shirt which I bought by Neiman Marcus for $450, but whereas I bought it from Lajpat Nagar, 150 rupees. I wear the fake Rolex watches. People wear fake jewelries, artificial jewelries, and we project that. That is social desirability is killing us. The another point which I want to discuss is impulse control, which has a direct linkages with emotional intelligence. I don't know how many of you are aware of marshmallow experiment. Millions of people have been tested on marshmallow. Marshmallow is a soft chocolate. This experiment is very interesting. Whenever you get a chance, put it on YouTube, you will be able to see hilarious videos. So the children from the age of 4 to 7 or 8, they basically, they experimented, they put them into a big hall where all the videos are there. And, and you give one marshmallow to one child, and you say, if you're not going to eat for 15 minutes, you will get one more. But if you will eat, you will not get it. Now, here comes the story when, the children will keep watching at the clock, and then they will pick it up and they will smell it, leave it. And sometimes they'll open the wrapper, then they keep it. And to cut the story short, 80% children eat it because they don't have a control on them. Around 20%, they don't. Now, these are longitudinal studies from last 70 years. These experiments are going on. And those 20% who have an impulse control is called delayed instant gratification and a delayed gratification. So those who could wait for 15 minutes for one more, they are all CEOs or they are all leaders. When I say CEO, doesn't mean a business leaders. They could be religious or business or anything, one of the top people. So even that particular experiment is valid. So impulse control. Do I have an impulse control? And most of the Indian children these days, they don't have. When they want a toy, they will lie down on the floor. I want this, and children will buy. And the second thing, that parents are so busy and they also compensate their guilt through providing the materialistic things. Empathy. I must tell you that India is much better on empathy than the other Western countries. There are a lot of studies on this. At least at the beginning of your life, your parents generally teach you charity, donation, helpful to people. So we are still better. But I want to tell you a big thing now. Emotions do not take place in the corporations or at workplace. Very big thing I'm talking about to all of you. And most of you are not going to agree with me. Do care about your employees. Have concern about your employees, but don't get emotional with your employees. Please leave emotions outside the gate and then come in. That makes a difference. So, the empathy and emotion do not club together. Communication and cooperation is another pillar of emotional intelligence. Many people talk about teamwork, many people. So these are the competencies, how to develop others, how to build trust with people. All those kind of competencies are also indicator of emotional intelligence. Optimism, I already talked about that. You have to be absolutely, be there and think positive. I can give you one small exercise. Always try to recall positive things. Negative things comes of its own. You need not to recall. For positive things, you need to put an effort. If I have to recall some positive things, where was I during my last summer? I was at this place. I'm just imagining water, culture, food, hotel, blah, blah, blah. And I need to put an effort. But recall positive things. I've already talked about self-awareness in a big way, innovative and creativity. I must tell, innovation is a much bigger. You need to be more creative than innovative. If you want to become an innovative, the first step, you need to be creative. And it's not that, it's only a word. If you are ready to, many people say, my children are hooked onto the video games. I said, that's a good thing because they are developing a cognitive abilities. Now, cognitive abilities is developing mental faculties, your attention, your perception, rationality, valid, comprehension, arithmetic, problem solving, everything comes under cognitive. But yes, I said, don't let them play video on the phone. It has to be on a bigger screen, because when you are playing a football, 11 people on this side, 11 people on this side, there is a football, you are totally engrossed. It gives you a stress. If you are playing it on a bigger screen, it's much better. So I always say half an hour to 45 minutes every day. It's a good thing. And on the weekends, maybe over 1 hour is no problem. But, what happens is when parents are leaving the house or they're busy somewhere, they take it in the toilet and they're playing. So, my question is that how well you can be creative is through games. Second is the decision making as well. What I talked about in the beginning is the parents are involving children in decision making. Let's say you want to buy a car. Is your mother and father the only two people are discussing, or even it is being discussed at the 4-year-old child at home? Make them taking a decision, and if they are taking a wrong decision, explain why your decision is more rational. Everybody is talking about these days analytic. In fact, our own business school is doing an amazing job while starting a business analytical courses. Business analytic, marketing analytic, data analysis, more or less for me as a layman is the same thing. When I was a student in the United States, I was, I don't know who told me this, maybe Mike only, the target store is aware that how many people in a particular city are pregnant. Because from the credit card, when I'm buying a size 2, 4, 6, 8, I come to know that 836 people in this particular city, and they, you can do through data analytics that what kind of attires are required. So maternity wears, we need to do it accordingly. And it is not difficult, and it's not confidential, and easily we can do it through the data analytics. And whether it's a system analytic, whether it is data analytics, if you are not onto that, I'm sorry, the future is pretty weak. Well adjusted is the last one. When I talked about maturity, it is also the same thing, whether I accept people, I work with them or not. So all these things are important, but I want to tell you, I will answer to your questions, but in a nutshell, I want to tell you, in a regular MBA course, we teach. In fact, I don't want to boast our Jindal Global Business School much, but most of the people are practitioners, and we try to teach the major problems, especially in an Indian industry. What people need to be trained, not for strategy much, but in Indian industry, crisis management. When you're working in an Indian industry, all the time you are doing crisis management, because we are working in this type of a country. When I teach in US, I don't talk about crisis management, because crisis management comes rarely over there. That is one. Two, hands-on experience. Three, I also want gradually that when I was working in the corporation, I was giving a lot of work to various business school students, and believe me, they used to do, if not better, at par work with one of the top consulting companies, because I have my own problem with the consulting companies. They generally cut and paste things. They don't go into the details, into the grassroots problems, and then they make tailor-made things for any company. But the youngsters like you are more productive, can understand. You go to an industry and hands-on with their problems, and will be able to. And then let me tell you, you need not to use your brain. The people who are working there will give you an excellent idea. Brainstorming sessions helps quite a lot. In fact, developing a vision and a mission, and then the core values of any organization. Many people hire consulting companies. Not required. Who needs to design the vision and the mission statements along with the values? The stakeholders. And if all of them are together, the same thing happened. One fine day, I got in 2009, the registrar of this university sent me, these are the vision, this is the mission, these are the values. And I said, who decided it? The one person. He said, no, that's not right. I walked into this university from Delhi, and the students and the faculty and staff, everybody sat together, 150 people. We wrote down what is our long-term, short-term, and everybody accepted it. So what I'm trying to tell you, we need to be more realistic. There are many more things, but only last thing which I would like to say, today we are in a position to assess people through electronic or through machines. We have a brain mapping, and we have certain small tests where we can assess a human's personality, behavior, emotional intelligence, probably in 2 to 3 minutes. These are the smaller versions, but in case you want a questionnaire, we can also assess your emotional intelligence, where we can also tell you where you need some sort of a training and how you can perform. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to talk to you. And but this is a beginning. Those who are already our students, they can come and meet, and we'll be very happy to help, assist, and support all of you. Thank you, Mike. Questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Sani. That was a wonderful session, on the importance of emotional intelligence and how it's related to leadership. Now, of course, we have a list of questions from my faculty colleagues and students. So I don't know how much time we have, but I'll try to accommodate at least the selected ones. So the first question that I would like to ask you, Dr. Sani, is, why do you think emotional intelligence is relevant for today's business graduates, especially the MBA graduates?
A good question. In 2016, a World Economic Forum called the Future of Jobs, where they anticipated that emotional intelligence, or EQ, so let me say EQ is more prevalent, will become one of the top 10 skills demanded in the workforce by 2020. So, which is exactly true. So my case is on the line of developing emotional intelligence among our students. The second is that good emotional intelligence is incredibly important for our personal life. In fact, I was talking about talent management this afternoon with certain students. And I said, it is not important that we need to take care of our employees. We need to take care the families of our employee. Let's say if Rituraj goes home and says, I got a job in some other industry, but his wife and children says, we are very happy over here. Why we need to go? So he's probably going to listen that. So it's not only your professional life, but personal life also. But it also brings just as much value in a business context. So professional and the leaders who matters of their EQ can create productive and positive work environment. And they can navigate the tricky situations, which, as I said, the crisis management, and ultimately bring about better results and increase their success in the organization. There is another study which I want to quote about Talent Smart. They found that emotional intelligence is responsible of 78% of your job performance, which is very high. And few said 60, there are various others. So why emotional intelligence includes the ability to use emotions to increase motivation and focus, because focus is very important. It also includes the ability to detach from very powerful short-term emotion when needed to better focus on the task which we have at our hand. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, Dr. Stan, you have. I've another question from one of my colleagues. Now, he would like to know, your opinion about the distinction between reason and emotion. So, in behavioral sciences, especially, what distinction is made between reason and emotions, and why do you think this distinction is important?
Good question. There are 4 sources of information. How do I learn? From where do I learn? So the first one school of thought says empiricism, which is we learn through experience. The second school of thought says we learn through, it's a school of rationalism, which says we learn through reasoning, which you are talking about. The third school says from authoritativism, means from authority, teachers, books, journals, and so on. The fourth, very few people talk about, except the student of psychology, school of intuition. Now, this intuition has a big component of emotions. People like Mike would say this is very unscientific. I will prove it is not unscientific. It is as good as reason. Rather, I would say, traditionally, reason and emotions were regarded as distinct aspect of the human mind, and reason ought to be at the main focus. The another model that came into existence was a very famous model, I think most of you must have studied, is Humean model. Although most of the models are, we have from the Western countries, that argues that reason is incapable of motivating us to act. Now, this is a big statement through this model, and only passion can do so. And I also believe it. The passion really drives the motivation, not the reason. So, this particular model started getting unnecessarily convoluted, as there is no sharp distinction at all between emotions. I'm not talking about good or bad, and reason, because the human mind is a dynamic process. There's another model, if I can remember correctly, is a Stoic model. I always say the person who works with me, Mr. Thomas, is a Stoic person. This model subscribed to the unified model of the mind. There is no sharp distinction between reason, pre-emotions, negative emotions, or positive emotions. There's nothing Stoic. So now in modern view, originating from modern science, particularly neuroscience and cognitive science, or even behavioral science, emotions are better understood as cognitively assembled conscious feeling. In fact, I want to tell you, Dave Ulrich or Ulrich, D-A-V-E, U-L-R-I-C-H. I don't know how to pronounce Ulrich or Ulrich. He's a management guru. He said 1990 was the era of competencies, which India is still struggling to get it. And the 2020 was the era of employee engagement, not that engagement which we have before marriage, whether I'm fully engaged with my industry or my organization or not. The 2010 was the era of conscientiousness. We need not to, like our university, we don't have any monitoring and supervising to the faculty members. So it is that we believe in conscientiousness. So people should work with their conscious. So, in neuroscience, because I'm a neuropsychologist, the frontal lobes of this one, which talks about rewards, attention, planning, motivation, and amygdala, which is a seat of emotion, are massively interconnected, constantly sending signals back and forth. The bottom line, I would say, a well-functioning human being, the maturity which I talked about, is one who constantly works on his emotional judgments, attempting through practice to make them as reasonable as possible. I think.
Yes, Dr. Sani, thank you very much. I have a long list of questions, but I understand that we just have 2-3 minutes left. So I would like to, invite my learned colleague from Office of Career Services, Mr. Juneja. He wants to ask you a question.
Sure.
So, Mr. Juneja, if you would like to go next. You're on mute, Mr. Juneja.
Please unmute yourself, Mr. Rituraj. Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Oh, I think I would request IT to give him the rights. Can you please unmute him, IT?
I can do it. Yes. Unmute yourself. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem, sir. Good evening to you, Dr. Sani, sir. And I'm been listening to you from the minute one. I was initially on YouTube. So when you said, switch on your cameras, I did not know how to switch on the camera on the YouTube. My apologies. But I switched on to the Zoom and then enjoyed the entire session. Amazing, stupendous session, sir. I've massively learned. In fact, I've taken copious notes also, right from the 0 to 7 years influence to 50 to 60% influence by the parents and so on. 10-90 in talking about attitude, emotional intelligence, leadership quotient, who controls, the list goes on. I have just one specific question, sir. When you said 0 to 7 years are the formative years for a child, is it 7 years is an average, or is it by and large 7 years for everyone, for every child? That's one question. And I'm asking this for a specific reason that I'll probably confess with you in person, not online here. But then I was just curious to understand, is this 7 fixed number, or is it a flexible thing? It can be 5 to 10.
Now, let me tell you, it's not that on the 7th birthday, you will stop learning. No. In fact, when you go through the research says 0 to 5 years in the Western countries. Lot of documented research on that. We said 7 because of possessiveness by the Indian parents, but it's not 7. It could be 8, 9, but it will definitely, the graph will start declining in that terms. But I can assure you, you can take it to 10 years, but 80% of your personality, your mentality, your behavior, from where did I start learning lying? Probably from my parents. I'm sorry, they're not alive, but I'm just giving an example if I'm lying. Why do I afraid of certain things? It's maybe from my parents or from my peers. So the question is, any kind of a traumatic experiences in my life or any kind of a highly pleasurable experience of my life goes and stays over here. Now, I'm not going to forget it, that in spite of my several requests, nobody opened their videos, okay? I'm going to remember this forever because I'm going to quote it, that in my 700 webinars, which today is the 702 years, we conducted 700 webinars. And in 700 webinars, this was the only one where I could not see who all are sitting and I'm talking to the screen. So the question is, I'm going to remember, but I'm not going to remember those 699, anything out of it. So any kind of a traumatic experiences. Now, I just want to tell you one thing. If anybody is having a mischievous behavior, truant behavior, quarrelsome behavior, disruptive behavior, cheating, lying, fraud, please give a credit to your parents. So, in fact, there is a new research, which is when I said emotional intelligence is becoming a little obsolete, because the absolutely new research which people are talking about, that disruptive children are more creative. Now, Indian parents are not going to accept it. I know that. And when I'm a psychologist, but they think I'm a counselor as well. Very few people in India can distinction between a psychologist and a counselor. They say, can you talk to my children? So, the non-creative people cannot be disruptive. Now, that's a new research, and I agree with it. And these disruptive children ultimately become CEOs. But now you cannot learn. Students, if you are sitting here, you cannot learn that disruption. So this disruption you learn at an early age. So it's not 7, that at the age of 7, it will your learning will stop, but it will start decreasing. That learning curve will decrease. There are many, I was asked, misconception as also. As I said, my last sentence would be, emotions do not belong in a professional word. Whether you like it, you don't like it. You talk about humanity, whatever it is, but not through experience, through research, through experience. I want to tell you, emotions don't belong in the professional world. Our emotions are controlled by our own bodies. It should not be controlled by others. If I ask Rituraj, are you controlling your own heart? Your answer should be yes. If you say no, how can I be the master of my own body? Can I control my emotions? Can I control my body? Showing emotion is a sign of weakness. And we all need to learn it. And we can learn these things gradually. And we can be highly successful on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sani. I mean, I still have a long list of questions, but we have completely run out of time. So let me just thank you for taking time out for our faculty, staff, and students, and all the people who are watching us live on YouTube. I'm sure our students, faculty, and staff members have benefited immensely with an in-depth understanding of emotional intelligence and its importance for leadership. So thank you very much for your time, Dr. Sani, and I'm sure, I hope that find us time for future sessions for the Business School.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I really enjoyed.
Thank you, Dr. Sani. Thank you very much.